on the radio, building dreams and achieving more, telling it just like it is. Most of all, keeping it real. Are you ready for real talk? Changing lives and communities. Real talk. Saving all our families. Real talk. Bringing hope for you and me. Real talk. Real talk with Judy. Real talk with Judy on the radio. Real talk with Judy. Real talk with Judy on the radio.
Well, good morning and welcome to the Real Talk with Judy live radio show. I am Dr. Judy, your host for this next hour, and I'm excited that you are tuned in. I want you to go ahead and do me a favor, and I'm going to say this throughout the show. If you will go ahead and contact your friends, go ahead and share. I'm going to say this again, but I really want you on the show. I really want you to get your people, your friends, anybody who's ready to move forward. And we would like for you to get them on the show. This show is going to bless you immensely. I know it is. Every show I do blesses you. But today I have two men that I greatly, greatly admire on here with me today who have accomplished some great things. And so while I'm doing that, y'all know before I bring these gentlemen on, I got to say hello to my mama. So hello, mama. So glad to have you on here this morning, today. We're glad to have you on. Thank you so very much, Tanya, for getting her on, and for everybody being on. My husband, y'all know now, he's usually here with me. He has rearranged his schedule. Dr. Benny, I think he hadn't told me yet, but I said, what are you trying to make this, the Jerry and Judy show? he hadn't told me yes yet, Bishop, but I think that's what he's trying to do. Because he's off now every Tuesday.
Strategic planning.
That's strategic planning. That's strategic planning. Every Tuesday.
Smart man.
But unfortunately, last Tuesday, some of you all may remember that he came into the show, but he had to leave because he was hurting. Well, last Saturday, we put him in the hospital because he suffers with the sickle cell thalassemia traits, and he had a crisis. And the crisis, unfortunately, was one of the worst he ever had, Bishop. It was one of the worst, and his blood level went down to 3.8. Never happened before in his life, and in our 43 years of marriage. Matter of fact, the doctors was like, they didn't really know how he made it on 3.8. When I talked to Dr. C. Richardson, I must give Dr. C. Richardson a credit. He said, get him to the hospital right away. He was falling, never done that before. Mind looked delirious, never done any of that before. And I share this simply because God has blessed him. We're hoping that he will be released today. He's feeling much better. And one of the first things we're going to do when we get home, we're going to sleep. You get no rest in the hospital. But I definitely didn't want to leave him up there by himself in those conditions. But I do want to shout this out that Tallahassee, what hospital? Capital Regional. Mm-hmm. When I know they get a lot of bad rep. But when I tell you, Dr. Bogan, Bishop, when I tell you those nurses were superb. Mm-hmm. They were superb. They took good care of my husband. I don't know because I was there, but they took good care of him. I mean, attention. Samantha, one of the nurses there, LaHonda, I think that girl named me LaHonda. She said, I'll be back. I'm going to get some crab leg with butter and garlic, and I'll be right back. I said, where is that? She said, down in the cafeteria. I said, are you serious? She said, girl, when I eat this food, I name it all kind of stuff so I can eat it. But I wanted to shout out to them that they did a superb job as nurses that I would like nurses to do. And they did an excellent job. So I give God all the glory. He's feeling much better. When you feeling, Dr. Richardson told him, now when you start falling, go to the hospital and you start feeling whatever, go get yourself checked. And I want to give that to everybody. When you start feeling some kind of way and you're feeling worse than you have. Don't just say it's a little cold. Don't just say, well, I'll get over it tomorrow. I take 2 aspirin. No, just go right away. You never know what the body is telling you.
Absolutely.
And I didn't say, well, I wanted to pray him out of that, And I went home, and I'm going to share this. I went home, Bishop, to my house while my husband's in the hospital, and I told the devil, I don't know how you got in my house. I don't know how you got in here, but you got to get out of here.
I know that's right.
And to come in and touch the priest in my home, to touch my husband, that is crazy. You do not have that authority to do that in my house. I opened that door and I said, get out of here in the name of Jesus. You will not. I laid on the side of the bed that my husband sleeps on, and I told the devil, you have no place in a bedroom, a bathroom, or in our house. So this man has worked hard to pay for this house, and you would not dethrone him with no sickness. So he's feeling much, much, much better. So I want to thank you all. And so y'all go ahead and share. And you know what? my sister Carolyn on here and Danette, but they and these brothers at our church, Elder Antonio Witherspoon, Deacon Lance Ball, Elder Stephen Davis. When I tell you, they took a guard at their house. Deacon Lance Ball is our deacon chair, our chairman of our deacon board. Elder Stephen serves us personally, and they put a prayer down in our den.
My Lord.
They prayed. So when I tell you, Bishop, they did not want to leave his side. And Stephen stayed there from 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. when he got settled in the hospital. Lance was right there. And I'm saying this because being part of a church and being in the leadership is more than just holding a title.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a whole new. That's a whole new thing. But it's not just so you can say I'm the pastor, armor bearer. I'm close to the pastor. It's not any of that. You got to be able to take a hit. Sacrifice. And that's a servitude. That's exactly what happened. So anyway, y'all know Carolyn is our baby daughter, and she sat on the bed looking at her pappy. And she was like, no, you are not coming here. So anyway, let's get with the show. I'm excited that he's doing well. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I have Bishop Derek McRae. Y'all know I bring him on quite frequently because I believe that he has done such a great job in building and not just a church, but people, and putting people in the right place. And I've sat in his leadership conferences and different places and seen how he has orchestrated his ministry. And I want him to come back today to talk about strategic planning. And he is the senior pastor and presiding bishop of Experience Christian Worship Center and Fellowship. So Bishop, and he's out of Orlando. Bishop, thank you for being back again today.
Glad to be here, and always glad to be in on the conversation.
Yes, sir. And y'all, one of my these watch this, they ain't gonna get mad. These boys are mine. These are my sons right here, for real. And Dr. Benny Bolden, he's well known, not just in Tallahassee, but in the educational field throughout this country. He is a man of great wisdom. He's taken NIMS middle school that no one thought ever in his life would be anything, Bishop. They never thought it would be anything. Even the people and the parents who lived in that neighborhood, many of them thought it would be nothing. He brought that school and his staff and his teachers to the place where they were just 1 point from an A. They are a B+ school. Wow. They have a law academy. They have everything going on in that school. He brought that school, but not just the school, the entire community, families, and other students who were ready to go to NIMS, not just from the South Side, but from all over Tallahassee. They want to go to middle school at NIMS. Wow. he teach all over area. He was were you a drum major?
No.
That was Bishop.
That was Bishop.
Okay, Bishop was a drum major, but you was in the band. Then
I was in
you
the
played
band.
the saxophone.
Yeah, he played the saxophone. I played the tuba.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you were one of them
Yeah.
guys that jumped to the bottom at the end.
There you go. I
What?
did that. That's why my knees don't work now.
But we sure appreciate that jump at the end. Appreciate. And y'all, I want to bring him on, but he's an educator, he's a teacher, he's a trainer, he's an ordained elder, and but he does these fellows here make things happen, and I want them today to pour so much into you that you can see what you believe, that you can see that it's possible. And that's what they're going to help you do.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to go from the bottom to the top because I want you to make it. Mm-hmm. That's what this show is about today. I want to see you make it. I don't want you to think that it's just for a few of us. It's not.
Absolutely.
It is not. So Dr. Benny Bolden, Bishop Derek McRae, thank you all for being here today.
Thank you so much for having us. And first and foremost, I want to say our thoughts and prayers are with Pastor. And I know he's coming out of this stronger and better because hope can't be buried. And so, and I know he is full of hope. And as I want to say this really quickly, as a young college kid, I came to town, and not only did they feed me naturally, they fed me spiritually. And so to be able to stop by the house and be fed away from home says a lot about ministry and the work that you all have done over the years. And I say this to Dr. Judy and Pastor Gerald Mandrell, that I am because you were. Because you said yes. We are the laborers, the workers, the people in the vineyard who continue on in this great fight because you dare to pour into people. And so I just want to give you that nugget and just give you your flowers and say thank you for pouring into individuals like me and Bishop like Quincy Griffin and all of us in our community who continue to see the work of your hands.
Wow. So, thank you, Bishop.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We're going to get started on this great stuff. And the show title is The Power of Strategic Planning. And I thought about that because, number one, from our conversation last week, Bishop, as we talked about what we need to sit now and plan. Mm-hmm. He stated that we need to quiet ourselves and get a plan. Because Bishop, Dr. Bolden, he mentioned last week, as a Black community, we really do not have a voice, a mm-hmm. national voice mm-hmm. to speak for us as a people. Mm-hmm. We really don't. And even after I started looking all around everywhere, I've been looking, and it's not just going to come from one city. We have to have someone who can sit mm-hmm. and really mm-hmm. galvanize us together. Mm-hmm. So that's what the strategic plan. And I called him and told him this is where this comes from. Mm-hmm. This is what the powers are. So as we get started, if both of you would take turn, what is strategic planning?
Bishop, I'll go with you. Okay.
I'll follow you, Dr. Benny.
So where there is no vision, the people perish. We understand that in Proverbs. From a natural perspective, vision directs energy. But from a biblical state of mind, faith in God promises, or he fuels us in that vision. There's a difference. Vision directs energy, but God gives us the fuel in order to. If I can put it in a natural tense, I was a member of the Marching 100. Dr. Foster had a vision of building a music program, a marching band. Dr. White, however, took over. He was close to the vision, but didn't have the vision. There's a difference between the two. This is why he was able to build the kind of program he built. Dr. White sustained what he was close to, but he didn't have the vision. The vision was given to Dr. Foster. A lot of us are sustaining in an environment that we didn't carry the vision. So now we have to be in a position where we sit back to get clarity. I need to get closer to God. Because in order for me to move forward, I need to know in what direction you would have me to go in. I need to know what I need to say, what I need to be doing. And that's when you become a steward. And then we see the multiplication of a vision unfold because I have sat and spent time with God in that vision. Or or just sitting close to a vision. And that's the best way I can explain the idea of strategic planning, especially in the Black community. We have heard the vision of Dr. Martin Luther King. Many of us are carrying out what he started. But who is our Martin Luther King of today? Who is the visionary of today? Who is speaking from a position of having the vision of today? And so, that's where I think this conversation will go for today.
Yeah, Dr. Benny, great comments and great opening statements for sure. And matter of fact, I wrote something that you said. I just gave you credit. The only time I say this, vision directs energy. I love that. I think that you also hit on another thing that we keep falling victim of. And that is, and you used the example of Dr. Foster and Prop White, understanding that Dr. White didn't have the vision, but he saw the vision. His vision was in sustainability, not in creation.
Right.
And we spend too much time trying to put our tag on the creation that we can never, ever have sustainability. This is why we keep crumbling and we become married to being starters and not actually anniversaries of completers. So we never complete anything. We always start something because we cannot settle ourselves to understand the role in which we play in vision. Vision does direct energy. The problem is that we have people who are coming in on the tail end of a vision, because watch this, vision also attracts. So people are attracted to the vision, but when they become attracted to it, they want to alter the vision that was already given out. That creates another new word called chaos. So now we're functioning chaotically because you see the favor that produces vision, but you're trying to get your fame on the backside of somebody else's vision. We become successful when we understand our roles and play our part. I'm gonna go here real quickly. Dr. Benny threw out a verse. I'm a bishop, so I got to throw out one too. Habakkuk says something to us. Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, verse number 2. Write the vision, make it plain, right? I got another version of it. I'm gonna pull mine up too. I got another version of the same thing that is stated that really began to bless my whole entire life. And what it is watch this. This is what another translation says. Write down the revelation and make it plain on tablets so that a herald may be able to run with it. For years, I saw that verse in 3 persons. For years, I saw God, I saw the visionary, and I saw the runner. Reading it now from the lenses of a different translation, I see 4+ people. I see God, I see the visionary, I see the herald, because the herald is one who runs and tells vision. We've made the runner the doer, but the doer is the 4th component now of it, because the herald's job is to go tell somebody else what the vision is so that somebody else can become the doer. We keep stumbling because we have doers treating them like heralders. We have people in the wrong place and we're wondering why we can't produce what we need, because some people are gifted at doing, and we got to stop trying to elevate a doer to a place of a sayer. We keep altering seats and wondering why we can't get completions, because people are functioning outside of their roles. So when I think strategic planning, I think this. I think doing things with the purpose. When I think strategic planning, everything that we do, strategic is the key word. We're strategically planning something. So we're doing something with the purpose. We're not just trying to load ourselves with activity. We're trying to load ourselves with potentials. So we have purpose that is being laid out. So when we start doing things with the purpose, That purpose word I also take to be structure. So now I'm doing something, purpose, structure. A lot of us want to have outcomes, but we don't want to walk in structures. And when you don't walk in a structure, you can't pull off anything. So now we build these cesspools of individuals who are frustrated because we don't have no structure, but we want to sit on a mountaintop and claim that we're full of purpose. And the body of Christ got to shift to structures so that people start believing that the word that we say can actually be produced.
That's good. That's good right there. There was one thing I was thinking about when you was talking, Bishop, and there's a difference between a vision and an idea. And most of us want to get people to move based on an idea, but not a developed vision. So the scripture that you brought up, Rebecca, write that vision and make it plain on a tablet, emphasize the importance of having a clear, well-articulated vision. Most of us can't articulate because all we had was an idea. And so when we haven't spent time to develop that articulated vision, we can't give that to anybody. We can't share that vision. In strategic planning, clarity ensures that everyone involved understand the direction, the purpose of the plan, and it plainly state the vision that can inspire and mobilize people to act effectively. We haven't thought about all of that in this longevity. So all we do is tell somebody an idea. We haven't given them the substance and the root of that idea, and we expect them to carry out an idea, not a well-developed vision. And that's the difference. And that's kind of going on the line with where you was at too, Bishop.
And even going further with that, Dr. Benny, you got to look into the fact that we as visionaries got to really look into who we are allowing to come close enough to become our carriers.
Oh my, can't cash your pearls along the line.
Yeah, we're not even we're not giving permission for the genius that God is sending to us to function. You know, one of the things that we find ourselves doing so often is we become comfortable in what we know.
Yes.
You got to understand that every vision has a new model.
Yes.
Therefore, we got to get comfortable with knowing, like, okay, maybe you were good for this part of the vision or the last vision, but you're not well-oiled enough for this part of the vision. And there's nothing wrong with that. But we got to start knowing who's with us. And the visionary has to start taking on something. And you said it, Dr. Benny, you said that we have to know how to articulate for every component of it.
Yes.
So visionaries got to stop thinking just the idea. They got to think the ways of execution for those who will carry it. So now we'll know how to have proper conversations with those who will be the heralders.
Man, this is good. Y'all see what did my son? Yeah, I have to jump in. So I'm just gonna because they ready to go. They are ready to go. But I got a plan for them in my mind that I'm not giving it on the radio right now. I got a plan. But gentlemen, let me ask you, and I like that because I want to talk about the idea and a plan. And a vision. Because a lot of people run out of idea because my family tell me I could cook good fried chicken. So now I want to go and start a restaurant, but I have not, it's Luke who said that you need to sit down and count up the cost, whether ye have sufficient to finish it. And so as we talk, I want you all to discuss ideal and vision, but I also want you to discuss what is the difference, if you think there is, between just a plan and a strategic plan. Because some people plan, and Aaron will let y'all answer that. I have an answer that I thought about, but I want us to leave here today understanding that I must sit down. And the scripture that I read to y'all was Luke 14:28-30. Because you got to see, do I have time to finish this? I don't know if some of you have seen houses that the builder, the contractor, they started building, but now the house been sitting there for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. They didn't count up the full cost of finishing that house.
Absolutely.
And so they didn't have enough money to finish what you started. To me, that's what the strategic plan is all about. You have to sit down from the beginning. So I got a lot here. I don't know. What do you think first steps are? What's the difference between planning and strategic planning and an idea? Because every idea will not turn into your money making market.
Yeah.
Every idea will not turn into, okay, this, I need to go do this. So let's talk, gentlemen.
So we talk about, when you talk about that vision, that's an action-oriented plan. And that's the way I look at it. And that scripture that we on now, Habakkuk is just in me now, that he may run who reads it, implies that the vision or plan should empower or enable immediate action. And so beyond hearing the vision, going down, studying strategic plans should not only outline long-term goals, but also provide actionable steps for those tasked with implementation. When we look at it, I think you gave a great analogy. People want to build a home without doing the research on the longevity of that project. Or, my auntie told me I can fry chicken, so I'm going to start my own KFC version. And then I didn't count the cost. But when you see strategic planning, God himself, you see Moses, who was there for the vision, and then you see Joshua take over long-term sustainability. You see Elijah, and then you see Elisha, long-term sustainability. So even if the vision is taken away, because I have strategically outlined it, the vision never tarries, because we have long-term sustainability, because not only am I the visionary, but we have put strategic planning in place so that the follow-through happens even beyond the visionary being present.
Yeah, I think that's great. One of the things I would also add to this is whenever you are a leader, you're not going to be effective if you are a silo leader. If you lead in your own bubble, like the worst thing is to find out that you're good only to you. That's the worst thing. Like, oh, I'm the bomb, but only you think so? That is horrible.
Right.
So all good leaders are a product of good surroundings. So when we start talking about moving from an idea to a plan, that plan will encompass other good ideas coming together to assist or to foster the growth of the concept. So when I prepared myself to do Stretch Conference the first year, so I had this vision that hit me in my head, like boom, 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 all these stretch things, and I had what I wanted to do. I immediately pulled my marketing director into the room. I immediately pulled the person who's responsible for my calendar, who sees all the things I go to. I immediately pulled my finance director into the room and said, this is what the cost analysis, and tell me what we're looking like and where should we be with this? Because I pulled all of them, and I had two other individuals in the room who were used to going to conferences. When I pulled them all in the room, we went from an idea, because everything is birthed from an idea.
Right.
The ideal is not enough to carry on. You need a plan, which gives it longevity. So I think a lot of us get stuck on the idea because we're scared to share what we have. And we got to learn how to find trusted circles that can deposit within us, but can also deploy what's in us. So trusted circles that would take, that I can say something to you, but you also have the capacity to take something from me to help what I said to you to become a reality. Go ahead, Dr. Benny, I see you.
You know what? I love that. I remember when I got to our Frank Nims Middle School and I walked through the door and I told them we were going to be a B school. What's significant to that conversation is the people who we wind up seeing that level of success wasn't there at the beginning of the vision. Many of them had already broken apart from it. I spent time in those first years pouring into people who wasn't going to be there when the promise took place.
Wow.
The problem with that is we give up because people walk away in the middle of that vision.
Wow.
But yet if I stay on task with what God told me, continue to encourage, continue to push forward, continue to pour. And what's funny to me is the individuals who were seasoned, the church folk, the people who knew the Lord, At the end, we made that level of success with babies, individuals who didn't understand, who was in the 1 to 3 years of teaching. And so, though it tarry, you got to wait on it. You got to make sure that you continue in the pound the pavement of understanding of what this vision is. You walk in the room and you tell people you're going to be a B school at a school who habitually was a DF. The community didn't believe you. The people in the building didn't believe you. The students didn't believe you. But yet, if we just be steadfast, patient in this process, understanding that the people who start with you might not finish with you, but we'll get there, but you got to keep pouring. Leaders should trust the process and remain committed to the vision, even if progress seems slow. Even in the midst of that 7-year period that I was at NIMS, COVID came in the middle of that. Now, when God gave me the vision about going to this school, he didn't tell me famine and a drought was going to come forth. And so, but yet, here we are. So God, if you brought me here, I know you're faithful enough to take me to the end. And when I wanted it to happen, it didn't happen. It's that scripture that says the work of your hands. Whose hands do you need? Yours or mine? Because if I do it, I'm going to do it in my timing. But if you do it, you're going to mess this thing up. And so he had to have the famine come in and then let the academic progression fall tremendously low so that he can reach way down, as the mothers would say, and pick us up, present us to the world as a B school. And he has to show you that even though you might have had a vision and there had been some setbacks along the way and people have left you on the way, if you trust me in this process of planning, I'll show you a better plan that you didn't even know existed.
Let me say this to you, Dr. Benny. I think, man, you're definitely on. I think that, and Dr. Judy, when we think vision, when we think a plan, we still muzzle it and make it too small. When God gives us a unique plan, and this has been a real problem in the African American community, that real problem is we're so territorial, even in what God gives us.
Oh my.
We only see it from the lenses of our own establishment.
Yes, you're preaching good, Bishop.
We don't see it from the standpoint of investment. Watch. While I'm establishing, I'm also invested. Now, we get frustrated because, in your case, Dr. Benny, as you were pouring into people, they were leaving. As we're doing vision, if we're doing it properly, people are learning what we're teaching and leaving us at the same time. If we're doing it properly, because it's not about you building your compound, it's about you building a community. As a great growing church will always have splits. It will always have people that leave because they don't need what you're teaching to sit up under you all this time. They have to go out and become what you're teaching.
Yeah.
And now you have to see your hands wider. We have this scenario and this mentality about swelling large numbers that really begins to affect ego within us.
Yeah.
And the truth is, man, when you're really effective, you are not only establishing a vision, but your vision is being established other places. Let's go back to this, Dr. Foster. Dr. Foster had a vision for Black bands.
Yep.
He had a vision. Almost every HBCU, especially around the 90s, I went fam in 93. I came in 93. Almost every band that we would hear had an instructor just about, whoever was the band directors, had some affiliations with Dr. William Foster.
Yeah.
Almost all of them either came through fam or his camps or something they had about him that sat on them, which means that even though you don't wear that rattler on your back, you got that rattler in your gut.
Absolutely.
Because the vision of Foster was spreaded while the establishment of Foster was still happening at Florida A&M University. And I think that's what we keep getting tripped up on because we keep trying to shrink vision for the sake of our egos.
Oh,
and
my.
we don't get permission for vision to be expansive. So not only does God want you to make sure that your school is doing well, but God also set you there to make sure that Leon County school systems are doing well.
Absolutely.
And sometimes we can't handle it because our hand can't be on it.
Oh.
So let me, so
Ouch.
because I did mention this. He's no longer at NIMS because of his. This is how I see it. And this, as you're talking, Dr. Benny, this is what I saw as he was talking. You were at NIMS, you were touching the community, but now you touching the whole district.
Yes, I get a chance to, currently I'm serving as a director of secondary schools, so I oversee all middle and high schools in our city. And that's that process of natural elevation, that's the process of when you've been faithful over a few, and then I can make you a ruler over many. And then I didn't see this position coming. I was just simply doing the work that I was supposed to do, and then to be tapped by the superintendent and asked to serve in this capacity. The first thing I had to do is go back to the drawing board, because I knew the vision of NIMS. Now, God, you just enlarged my territory. So now I got to go back into the presence to find out what vision you have for this role, because it's like starting that process all over again now.
Let me ask you something, Dr. Bowden, Bishop, with what you're saying. Now you got to go back to this, but your plan or your why is driving your plan all along, correct?
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes.
Because even though you're going back to the drawing board, even now you've been taken out of NIMS because you got it growing. It's a big girl now, a big boy now, with a good principle.
Yeah.
But you've left a lot of things in place. And Bishop, as I see it now, with the strategic plan that when you put it in place, you put it in place correctly.
Mm-hmm.
It should, my thought, be able to help you on every level, even though you have to tweak it.
Absolutely.
Am I right?
Absolutely.
So now you get to take it to a wider, broad capacity, but touching more people.
Mm-hmm.
But the same why on the strategic planning, to me, is still what drives. Am I right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got this thing that I like to talk about, Dr. Judy, which is what's your why?
Mm-hmm.
I think that visionaries lose in looking at the what and not the why.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that God calls us into a why. Now, the why of us, which is the purpose that we do, all right? So that's the why of us. The why of us can always be recycled and it can be expanded. The what of us is what we accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
Now follow here. When you find yourself doing what Dr. Benny did at NIMS, he did something. It's phenomenal. He got this word, if we're in the streets, they call it street cred.
Mm-hmm.
In the church world, we call it something to build on. It's called faith.
Wow.
So now the next level will trust him because of an accomplishment.
Oh my.
God is always building us to our next. So the same text says, you've been tested, faithful over a few things. I just wanted to find out your capacity. I wanted to find out your ego. I wanted to find out your mentality. Wow. Now I will make you. Now here's the truth. Dr. Benny, it was hard for you to leave NIMS because that was your baby, right? Because proper elevation makes you not want to leave where you already succeeded. That's why when everybody's talking about, I'm ready to get rid of him, I'm about ready to get out of here, you're not fit for leadership. You're not fit for next level yet. Because whenever you're ready for the next, it's going to be hard to leave the last.
Oh my.
Whenever you're ready for the next, because you don't leave things half done, that makes you qualified for the next level. So you've been faithful of a few things. Note the text. Now allow me to make you.
Make you.
Make you is a forcible detection.
Yes.
Where you've been good. And it's also a forcible studentship because now you have to learn it on a new level. And when God takes you to the new level, he's going to expose you to it on a new level. And then here again, because the reward of goodness is not rest. The reward of goodness is more.
You're preaching good, Bishop.
How to be expansive in our necks without becoming burnt out. Because every step that you leave a Joshua. Strategic planning is a Joshua. Don't want people around you that can't do better than you. You can't be elevated unless you leave a Joshua.
You listen. It's not often I'm without words, but Bishop, you got me. You snatched my tongue clear out my mouth. You preaching heavy now. You preaching heavy now.
Watch this, Dr. Judy. So when we talk about the why, it's important for us in the strategic planning to work our why. Work the why, not your what. All right. Your what will always present itself. Your why is who you are, though. So work your why. Why do you do this? Why do you feel you're called for this? Why did God give you with this? Why? The why keeps you responsible. All right. And it keeps you accountable. The why does. The what will pass through your hands. So when we're talking about strategic planning, we're doing things with purpose. Note this. Purpose has a cadence. Now that messes us up because purpose has a cadence, which means using a band, using March 100. I don't know if y'all had the 7 wonders, the 8 wonders. I don't know how many wonders y'all had.
We went all the way up to 10 at one point.
Y'all had 10 wonders. You're right. That's when y'all had like 475 strong. Right. Band. So watch this. The cadence. We all know that the head drum major blows that whistle.
Yeah.
He's facing that band, blows that whistle, and then he shifts.
Yeah.
When that head drum major shifts, the cadence says he done gave us enough instructions. Let's walk in it. So watch this. You got to find people that can march in your band when you're trying to be strategic.
You know,
everybody can march with you.
Now that's a word. One of the things I said to the faculty and staff walking out the building is stick to the plan. So it was advantageous for me to make sure that I had clearly articulated what that plan is. So when I say stick to the plan, they're not looking around the room on what is the plan. We have to make sure that we articulate that enough so that they can continue to walk in that purpose. And anytime I go by the school, I always say, are you sticking to the plan? Are you sticking to the plan? Because if you execute it in such a way, even when you do walk away, it will still continue to carry on that line because you have executed that thought, the theory, the strategic planning. You've organized that thought process and integrated it into every facet of that building, the students, the faculty, the staff. And so then when God moves you and elevates you to another place, then you can look back on what has happened. This is the old scripture when he says, build an altar. And the altar is just a reminder of where I've already taken you. It's not where you're going. It's just a reminder that if I did that, clearly I can do this.
Yeah.
And so we built that altar and you leave the altar there and you continue on. And when you do need to be encouraged, you can always pass by the altar for remembrance.
Yeah.
The
key word that you said there is integrated. And you got to make sure that it's like leaders really got to spend time with the investment into those who we work with. Spend time. Don't take it for granted. Relationship is just as strong as the plan. So you got to spend time in there. So again, watch this. So we understand that purpose has a cadence, right? It's a rhythm to it. Purpose also requires a patience. We got to know the when of our why. We got to know when to release this because sometimes it's on us, but it ain't ready to do it. And that because you can have the right thing with the right people at the wrong time and it still be wrong. And so we got to understand the patience of it. And then the last thing that I have is that purpose literally will grow itself. I'm looking at the March 100 band again. And it's funny because when I'm out teaching, my spiritual father is Joseph Walker, right? Bishop Joseph Walker out of Nashville. So Joseph Walker was the head drum major at Southern University. So, I always tell him, I say, I know you was lonely because you was the only drum major. They always march with just one. So we always joke with each other. And so one of the things that we talk about when we talk about the March 100 band, which I use a lot in my illustrations, is that There is something today, like we know that when the band comes on the field, we know the opening song that's going to happen. It's universal. Dun, da, 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 da. We know this, right? We know when the band comes off the field, good times. We know that's coming. We know these things are going to happen. We know we're going to see the slow one. We know we're going to see these things. They did such a great job integrating that it means that no matter who has the reins, it stays the same. I think that we're too keyed on getting to a result that we have not become convinced as leaders is going to take place, that we don't slow our pace to make sure that everybody around us is integrated into a system.
You know, that's powerful when you say it's the integration of thought. You think about the March 100, and I think it was like 2 or 3 years that it was hiatus or on suspension, but yet they can come back still rooted and grounded in the vision that was even before their departure. And that's because you have integrated. That's because we have now been approached with the why. You know, I teach a ministerial course at the church with young ministers, and I always tell them, I don't want to start all over in an assignment that God gave me. Yeah. So no matter how far you think you have gone, he'll pick your behind up when you failed it and make you start right back at the beginning again. And that's that why they keep us grounded, to make sure that God, I don't want to fail any assignments or tests that you put in front of me. I want to pass this test. And so to get to the point and the ending of all of this, even the March 100 being tested after that issue, but to be faithful enough to say, God, let's put the why back in front of us. And then God can elevate you back to proper status of where that marching band program was even before the departure, and put them right back at the pedestal where they were, because now we have went back to go find that why again. Why am I here? Why are we doing this? Who are we serving? Am I doing the work of the Lord? And when you see that in Dr. Chipman's leadership, you see the why again now. You see that we need to put God back at the forefront of this thing. We need to make sure that we are exemplifying God in all that we do. You know, I oftentimes hear him say, well, we need to pray before we go outside. You put your why back in front of them, not just in the program, but ingrained in the students. These are kids, you know, Big Mama, she gone, you know, and so this generation didn't go to church. And so they didn't see, you know, what we saw growing up. But yet, if we teach them to pray over the little things, when they get into trouble, they get into a scenario, they might not know God like we know God, but then they'll know the power of prayer because I've seen it work in this establishment. And so now that why teaches us how to engage this generation, even without having to say Jesus every day.
Yeah. And I was thinking as I'm listening to you all with our strategic plan, I was thinking even with the scriptures that we've been using, one of the first things that I would say in the strategic planning is to put God first. Mm-hmm. Sit and have a prayer meeting, especially as the leader, with you and God, mm-hmm. to get some direction. Because I believe a lot of times what the scripture said, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of time when we're planning, we're not putting knowledge with it. And you have to spend time with your people. You have to talk to them. You have to keep giving them the vision. You got to keep going. Bishop Stewart said about 15 years ago, I heard him say this, and this is why I want to make my plan, my vision, strategic planning, so everybody can understand it. I write in simple form. I want everybody to read it. You know, we might have a little kid who grandmama died, and they let you know they'll pay him $64 million.
Absolutely.
And he might want to know where to put it. Well, if he read my plan and he's able to understand it, he may just invest it there.
Absolutely.
Bishop Stewart said, write the vision, make it plain enough that whoever read it will fund it. And so when you're writing your plan, you're also looking at funding. You're looking at who will come and invest in you, whether it's time or resources. And a lot of this stuff is what you have to do. And I have been really thinking, the Lord has placed in my spirit, sometimes we just don't count up the cost. Dr. Benny, Bishop Derek, I don't want to go to another conference that's not giving me something.
Absolutely.
You know, I want to receive something. I want to I want to be empowered.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to listen to a radio show or have a podcast that's not empowered. When people leave my show, I love it when they say, "You made me think," or the guests you had on there had me thinking about this or that. Thursday, people was calling, where is Bishop McCray? Tell him to answer this question. And so when I put it back on Thursday, and they're asking me for questions, I want to be able to text you all and give them answers. And so I know what I'm about to do. I know what the people are asking for because of my show.
Can I say something, Dr. Judy?
I know what they're asking. And so my job now is to sit down and strategically put this together, because the people who listen to my show, near and far, are asking for more.
Yes.
An hour is not enough for them. They want more. They have questions. That they want. And you both know that we have people who are hungry to be better.
Absolutely.
They want to be better. Yes, sir.
I just want to give 4 practical words in strategic.
Right. Hold on. You give your 4 practical words, and then you're gonna come in and give your words, and then I'm gonna close out. Okay. Go ahead.
So 4 practical words in strategic planning. First word is why. Why are we doing this? All right. The second word is how. What is it going to take to do this? The third word is when. When is the season for this? The fourth word is what. What was our outcome? Because when we're properly doing vision, the what should recycle the why. So why, how, when, what? Recycle back to why. If we do those things, it will keep us from doing things for volume, and it would keep us into doing things for value.
The 4 I would give is vision, because that's the substance of what we're talking about today. Clear vision inspires direction and provides a sense of purpose. Goal. What is the end goal? How are you going to measure that process? I oftentimes, even when I'm doing marriage counseling, you can't fix the marriage in front of you if you already got your eyes on something else. And so a lot of our process is not having a goal in mind. The goal should be focused right in front of us. The third word for me is plan, being detail oriented. We talked about that even, Pastor Judy, Dr. Judy, you said write the vision so that somebody will fund it. And so you got to have that plan in place. I often, because of my job, if I'm stuck on the elevator with somebody for 30 seconds, I need to give them what I need to give them in 30 seconds or less. And if I can't articulate it, I haven't done the planning that it takes in order to be detailed, strategic with those, and in being in the presence of resources. He said, I'll make your name great and bring you before good men. He didn't say, I tell you what to say. He said, I'm going to bring you before. So that's a part of the planning. Daily do I meditate on his word day and night, so that when I'm in the presence, I can say something articulate. And then the last I would use is execution. What are we going to do in order to make this happen? It's the process of putting the plan into action. And that would be my 4 words: vision, goals, plan, and execution.
Man, listen, I'm okay. Y'all gonna do it. Y'all got to answer this question in 1 minute. Y'all promise?
I got you.
Bishop?
I promise.
You promise?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you handle, and this is long, but how do you handle when you have strategically planned and you feel like you have everything in order, but it seems like it's still not moving? How do you handle that?
Simple answer for me. You reevaluate. Never get yourself to the place that you are so right. Give yourself grace and room for adjustments at every level of your leadership. You're never so right. even when it's so good. Give yourself room for adjustments. And please, as a leader, give yourself space for grace.
I think that's powerful, and just biblical sense, grace is renewed daily. And so I went to bed, but I got up with a new level of grace for today. And so even in that thought with leadership, you have to wake up knowing that I got another day to get this right. Oftentimes as leaders, you wonder, why do people haven't grasped this thought? Why have they not gravitated to this movement and this push and this? And I'm like, God, I did everything you told me to do, though it tarry. You got to wait on it. You got to wait on it. And that level of grace is renewed because what he knows is what you don't know. The person I give the prophetic word to won't be the person that fulfills it or see the outcome of it. Saul crucified. Paul wrote 1/3 of the New Testament. Allow that development to happen so that God can change your name in the process of elevation with grace that abides.
Yeah.
I know y'all ready to go. I can feel it. However, the clock on the wall, the old clock on the wall says near time for me to go. but listen, what would you tell a beginning person? What would you tell a person who's listening to us now, who haven't even thought of how to write a plan? But today, what you all are saying, that I want to give back, is that you must write a plan. In order to be successful, you got to have a roadmap or something where you're going. And it can't just be thrown together at the last minute. Start with you, Dr. Benny. What would you tell that person? Dr. Benny, I got this, but how do I even begin to think of how to write a plan?
So research, that's not a word we use in the African American community. For a lot of years, even though we know of information, we don't research information. We got secondhand information. I oftentimes remind myself when I'm going into rooms of individuals who are the world's greatest doctors and leaders and things of that nature, I have to have enough research and information in me so that I can sustain in that room, to be operational in that room. So what I would tell you is, one, do the research that's necessary for continued growth. And when you're doing the research, you're not trying to find the positives, you're trying to learn the negatives so that you will learn how you won't fail. They talked about, there's some research I did in ministry. There's 1,000 churches open a year and 700 that also closes in that same year. So I need to look at the 700 to see what they did wrong so that I know how to be successful when I start. We want to find how much money will I make when I start this business. Right. No. We need to find out what is going to close my business the fastest. Let me go from the negative side and then shoot for the positive side. I need to find out those things in my strategic planning so that I can be prepared for whatever comes. That's how you get long-term sustainability.
I would also say, stop being anxious to start a plan without participating in somebody else's.
Oh.
Please.
Say la, Bishop. Say la.
Elevation comes from participation.
Yeah.
And if your plan is going to be anything of, success, it's going to require somebody else to be a part of it with you.
Yes.
You cannot expect anything you haven't sown. So go sow a seed into another plan so that somebody else will be the harvest in yours.
Listen, y'all, I really got to go. I just kind of took that. And this is one thing I do know. Both of these men are powerful. And so I'm going to say this on the radio right now. I am bringing them both back individually. I'm bringing them both back individually. I have been thoroughly blessed. This is my introduction. This was my introduction to you, Radio Land, because I want you successful. I want all of us to make it. These two men here have no problem sharing their knowledge. They have no problem helping you to become all that you can be. I know that for a fact. Both of them have said and poured and poured and poured into others to be successful, even as God raised them up. I appreciate both of you. I appreciate what you have poured into my life, my husband's life, what you all continue to do for the communities that you live in. And who knows, y'all might be the next voice for the Black community. Who knows? Because, and I'm praying. I am seriously saying, don't shake your head, no, because you don't know. I can't rebuke it because you're bishop. So y'all heard that. That's a proper order. And I rebuke a bishop. However, what I'm saying is, we're looking for God to raise up someone. And what you all are doing right now, I honestly believe that you all are a blessing to the kingdom and the secular world, to people. I've seen both of you work and taking things that people didn't think was going to be successful. And you turned around, you gave people hope, you gave children hope. And I want to say thank you. We're moving. And y'all, I want all of us, I was taking notes. I do with my guests. And go back and listen to this. Share this on your page, please. The Power Strategic Plan. And these men just touched the surface. And we're coming back because I want each one of them to help you personally become all that you can be. It won't be everything, but at least they can help you make up 10 steps. So Bishop McGray, thank you for always answering my call.
Thank you.
You have no idea how much you're such a strength to me at all times. And I want to say thank you. Dr. Bolden, you too. You're strengthening me at all time. I know I write a lot on y'all Facebook page because when y'all die, I don't want to be one of the speakers. I want to speak right now because you all are a lesson to us and to me. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so very much for tuning in to the Real Talk with Judy live radio show. And guess what? I have been nominated for, I have been nominated for Best Podcast of the Year, Radio Show of the Year, and also for the Inspirational Author of the Year. And so I'm going to put that all on there. Montreal Harris have all that. I didn't know that until I was informed late last night. But I want to thank you all so very much. Listen, write the plan, write the vision, do your research, make sure you got enough money, make sure you know what is. Know your why, know your what, know your plan. Invest in other people. And I want to say, if you're a member of anybody's church, help that pastor work that vision. Help that pastor work that vision. All right, I really got to go. I absolutely love y'all. Evangelist, thank you. Thank you. She said in for, and I want to say happy first year anniversary to Evangelist Carolyn Waddell. And I do not remember what line it is, but she's been an AKA for a year. And guess what? Y'all can join me tonight in Bible study and Sunday morning at 11 a.m. And guess what? I'll see you in the future. Your plan is knocking the socks off this world. That's real talk.
Real talk with Judy. Real talk with Judy on the radio. Real talk with Judy. Real talk with Judy on the radio.
In the world. Oh man, I got to get y'all back by yourself.
Thank you, man.